Hello. Hi, everyone. It's me, Ursula. It's been a while since I've done a live stream like this from my studio, but I just thought today is the day. I just feel like doing a video. This is very common for me as an artist. I kind of like do the thing I want to do. Um, and right now it's making a video because I haven't done it in a while. So I just wanted to update you on things that are going on with me and maybe make a portrait and talk about some artwork that I've done recently and some things I've done recently. And I don't know, share things that are coming up for me. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a piece of my sketchbook prepared to make a self-portrait on it. As some of you know, if you've been familiar with my work, I have been doing a self-portrait every day since July 2013. So, do the math. I guess this July it will be 13 years. I've definitely missed a few days doing it over the years, but for the most part, I've been pretty consistent. And since I'm the kind of person that's always trying to reuse things and be resourceful and not, some of it's because I want to like be helpful for the environment, but a lot of it's because I have this tiny studio and I can't have a lot of stuff in it. So I try to reuse as much as possible. So one of the things I'm reusing is a sketchbook, one of many that I had while I was a grad student at ETSU. What I've been doing is gradually going through it and painting over a page and then doing a portrait on it. So, here's one recently. Here we go. But what's been really fun about this project is that I also get to see like whatever notes I took at the time. And so these are notes from when I was doing ceramics, pictures I liked, stuff I was cutting out, and maybe referencing. And so it's kind of fun to go back and revisit the sketchbook and look at like, what was I talking about? Like, what was I taking notes of? Because to be really honest, when I wasn't in school, I really didn't do sketchbooks a lot. I didn't really do I didn't do that. I just didn't take notes a lot. I mean, I took notes. Like I have notes in like small things like this, like lists and stuff, and I won't linger on this too long because I don't know. I want you to see some of these notes on here, but yeah. This is reminding me, Betty Woodman. Betty Woodman was an artist that I was really inspired by in grad school and still am. She worked a lot between ceramics and painting and installation. So because she's an artist, one of the first that really pioneered, as a woman, like really pioneered kind of the intersection of painting and ceramics, I think, and installation. She created these really great like spaces with her designs and like patterns that she painted on her ceramics, but also that she created in museum and gallery settings. Little drawings I made. Some of the pages I liked too much to paint over, This was like a piece of pottery I wanted to make based on a painting that I had made. So it was supposed to be speaking directly with the painting. This was the painting. This is like a printout of the painting. It's like a large painting I made. And then my plan was to make this piece of pottery to accompany the painting. And it never happened, but maybe it will one day. And yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to work with ceramics for about a year now. unfortunately, it's something that requires space, a kiln. It's, it can be difficult to do that kind of thing at home. And while there's some really great community ceramics places in town, and here in Asheville, it still can be a little hard to access for me. So yeah, right now in my life, I'm teaching a lot. The last year I have been working as an adjunct professor at two different regional universities, primarily teaching drawing, which has been really awesome. But this semester I had the opportunity to teach painting at UNCA here in Asheville. And that has been a really wonderful experience. One of the high points of it was that for 4 weeks, I got to work with an artist named Susan Lichtman, who is an incredible painter. And she taught for, I think she said 40 years. And she's currently retired. And UNCA brought her to the program to teach a special project with the students. So it was such a delight to work with her, and I learned so much. She's an amazing person. So I definitely encourage you to look up her work. Susan Lichtman, Lichtman. And yeah, her style of painting also was a really nice influence for me. But yeah, so yes, this is what I've been doing. But yeah, it's so funny to see these notes. I can barely even read them. Going through this, I am reminded of how difficult it was for me to distill all the things that I've done or all of the ideas I had for my thesis. How it was so difficult to like really edit that down into a single thesis or a single idea. There's just so much that I was trying to talk about. And today I read about two artists, two photographers whose names are, I can't conjure right now, but their career was described as sprawling. And I thought that was a great word because I'm thinking that's a good word to describe my interests as an artist and a lot of the processes that I use. I feel like also the things that I involve myself with, the experiences that I do as an artist, it feels sometimes like I have a very sprawling career and a very sprawling like body of work, using a lot of different materials. Because I like pliable things. If I had to like, everything really, if I had to like say what it is I like, it's pliable materials. It's canvas, it's paint, it's paper, it's ceramics. It's like things you can bend and manipulate. So at least I know that. I mean, I can distill it all down to that. All right, so what I'm going to do first here while I'm talking, I'm going to cover this page. So again, like, here's the page in my sketchbook. And what this is I remember I was trying to come up with different glazes to use for some of my pottery. And I had these different recipes for glaze making. One was waxy white. That was one that I loved. And I probably have something here nearby that is glazed with waxy white. Eggshell. This one kind of didn't really quite work for me. Yeah, I had a bunch I tried out. I did like small tests. Soft white was one I really liked. I wanted a white thing. Waxy white is the one that I went with in the end, ultimately. But I am going to paint over some of these nodes, and not because they're not important to me, but because I do have copies of all this. So Like, for example, this leaf, this is a little detail that fell off of something. Um, this was it's very matte and stony, and this was not the waxy white. I think this had a lot of strontium in it. And anyone who's worked with ceramics is like cringing so hard right now listening to me talk about this. I believe it's possible that this little palette I made, which has paint in it, but it's possible that the outside of this was made with the waxy white because it was exactly how it sounds. It's like a waxy texture. It's not super glossy and it's not matte. Um, and then this kind of green is like more of the, is it the strontium that's in it that makes it turn green? Ugh, I can't remember. Um, but yeah, I don't really have any out. Here's one I did at the time. Also like this little cup, but this wasn't strontium. This one's stained with stuff. It's hard, you know, when you get out of working with something. It kind of is a bummer. So my goal moving forward is to work again with ceramics because it's so fun. I really love it and I miss it. But for now, I'm going to paint over this and keep talking about some of the things that have been going on for me. And maybe I will turn the camera down so you can see my desktop here and what's going on. I know my studio is completely messy. Is it possible to even see this? So I just squeezed out a bunch of this awesome paint by Golden, Titan Green Pale. I love it because it's really opaque. I have a cup of water here, my brush, and I'm just going to brush over this. And ultimately, when the paint dries, probably some of this text will still come through, which is great. That means one day when I revisit this, maybe I can read the text through it. It's really cool to learn about art restoration practices and how they can X-ray paintings and do all these kind of almost medical tests on paintings and find layers underneath the main painting that the artist painted over. It's so common because we have to be resourceful, and I don't like being wasteful. So I just like to kind of reuse everything if I can. I mean, I could keep all my sketchbooks, but then I'd have a ton of sketchbooks with notes and sketchbooks with portraits. And for me, that sounds really overwhelming. I don't have a lot of space. Another thing, another goal is to get more space to work, whether it's more space to do ceramics or more space to paint or store things. Just more space in general is something I want to manifest in the months ahead. So what else has happened since I last got on here and left a message? Last October, I produced this kind of big collaborative project. I called it Constellation. It was basically reusing any kind of old artwork on paper, and anyone was invited to come in and work on that. And we made a big mural ultimately. My friend Susan Martin helped me with that a bunch. And that was really fun. And then more recently, in March, I got to be, I'm going to lift this up again. I got to do a residency in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and it was for the Wofford College Environmental Studies program. I was invited to stay at this really cool place. It's called the Glendale Shoals Preserve, and it's this preservation site that used to be an old mill, like this huge old mill, and it burned down, I believe in 2004. And now there's just some ruins from this mill on the property next to this amazing river that, was used as a power source for the mill back in the day. And one building remained standing, and that is today owned by Wofford College, and they called it the Goodall Environmental Studies Center. So it's part of the Environmental Studies program, and it's this really cool building, and I was given a room there to work on things. Basically, what I did, my proposal was to find pigments from around that area and make them into paint. And so one of the pigments that was readily available, of course, is the red clay that was in the ground as dirt, but also red clay from the bricks of the mill. And this is some red clay that I got from there. It's just this beautiful, like bright red, gorgeous clay. Let's see if you can. I don't know if the camera does it justice. I don't think it does, but it's just out. It's everywhere. And one of the things, it was explained to me that early farming practices in the Southeast removed a lot of the topsoil from the region. And so the red clay from below the topsoil is what we see so readily now. Here in Asheville, in my yard, there's tons of red clay. It makes it really hard to grow things. And, in fact, today I was like struggling trying to, revitalize my soil because there's some things I planted, some azaleas I planted that are not growing well this spring, partly perhaps due to the winter, the freezing weather staying around for so long, but also possibly from the soil being so bad. So I dug in and I added some nutrients to the soil, and hopefully that's going to help a little bit. We'll see. So I made some pigment. This is something I made with the red clay. My paint is still wet here, but maybe I'll show you also some of the paintings I made while I was on this residency. The two things that worked best for me was the red clay and then charcoal. Charcoal makes a gorgeous inky paint if you grind it for a long time. And so this aspect of this painting, this skull here, was made with charcoal paint. And when I came home, I actually covered it with an acrylic varnish, like a polymer varnish. So, because I don't really like drawings behind glass, sometimes I just want to, I love like the paper, and I don't always like the barrier the glass provides. It's good because it protects drawings, but I figured what I'd try to do is put some acrylic over the top of this to protect it. And then kind of collaged in some paintings. And this is all using natural pigments. This is actually yellow onion skin. You can use that to make a really vibrant paint color. The acrylic red clay, the charcoal red clay. And then, of course, I put my diamond dots in there. This kit that I had made, this thing I'd made from a kit, I cut up and put into this piece. as far as the diamond dot making goes, I love it. It's a fun and relaxing thing to do. However, it's not very creative. Like I would never take that and like show just a diamond dot. To me, it makes good collage material. So some of the drawings I made from the site, this kind of these loose plein air drawings, and it was so fun using the paints that I made. So red clay, yellow onion skin, the charcoal. The green was I had blue already made, and I mixed it with the yellow onion skin. But I also discovered that um, burning or boiling berries from this plant that they had yielded a green pigment. Even though the berries are red, they are what is called I wrote the word down at one point, phyllocyanine, maybe. So yeah, a lot of red berries will actually turn green. Well, when you boil them and extract the pigment, it turns green. This is from acorn. I had some acorn like caps and whatever they're called, the shells, just around the house where I stayed. And what did I do? I boiled those up also and then made them into this kind of pigment. This is painted on top of an ink drawing I made, a drawing I made with micron pen. This is using the red clay, and then I tried burnishing it with a wax to kind of seal the pigment down, but then it kind of blended everything. I had some charcoal on there too, so it kind of made it this cloudy. So this is like charcoal and red clay, and then there's this wax medium, cold wax medium over the top, because cold wax medium is also supposed to be good for preserving paintings and not having them spread. This is a green I made with the berries. Berries from the heavenly bamboo bush. Now, there's another word, another name that's more commonly used, but I just loved heavenly bamboo. I mean, I couldn't forget that. So this is the green that came from that. And here I think I mixed it with some of the yellow from the onion skin, some of the charcoal, and then there was also a drawing that I made, like a micron ink drawing, another acorn ink, and rust. If you add rust to the pigment or to the acorns while they're boiling, it darkens the ink color. This is black tea. Black tea is really easy to make a pigment out of black tea. And I was really excited by how gorgeous it turned out. This is a painting I did right when I got there, plein air painting. And so it's actually from a watercolor set. I didn't use any natural made pigments. And there's also white acrylic paint on that. And then one more micron pen drawing. And I think this yellow may be a combination of a yellow paint that I made from a dye that I had. And that's why that one's so bright and so vibrant. But yeah, I mean, these were little studies, and then I ended up making larger drawings too. The whole thing was great. I learned a lot. It was so nice to have a lot of time to play around with this. This is something I cut up, but this was charcoal primarily, and then the yellow onion skin paint also. So it's really fun. What you can do is just very simple things when it comes to making your own pigments to work with. So with that said, I just want to say I'm going to be teaching a workshop about all of this this July for Arrowmont School in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is this really cool art and craft school in Tennessee, real close to Dollywood. And it's a pretty interesting place. It's a very touristy town. I've only been there once. And Arrowmont is kind of like in the middle of this little town, but it's kind of like its own little haven amongst all the tourist like wildness, because it gets wild there like during the busy months. So it's kind of fun. Okay, I'm going to make my portrait. My acrylics have started drying. I do want to demo a little bit this red clay with you, just so you can see how it works. Maybe I'll just point this camera down here and show you the red clay. It's so fun. It's really easy to make. You use a mortar and pestle. You have to do other things. You got to clean the pigments and all of that, but ultimately it's a really fun experience to make, and it's so fun to just have your own colors that then you can work with. Like this is it's just so nice to see like how handmade paints, like the dispersion, the way they disperse is different than manufactured paints. And it's a little less consistent. It can be a little bit wilder to work with these, a little more, you're not sure what you're going to get, harder to predict sometimes. But ultimately, it's just really satisfying to make your own pigments is something I have discovered in this whole process. A lot of my things are still packed away, but I had this really nice mulberry looking pigment I wanted to share with you. Here it is. It's this magenta ink that I made a while back. I haven't opened this in probably a month, so let's see how it looks. It's really dark. I did put a little bit of rust in this, and what the rust does is it will darken your inks over time. My water is a little bit dirty right now, so I'm going to just spray some some cleaner water into here. Okay. But yeah, it's the inks are just a little bit it's more liquidy, but it's really fun to see like how different paints respond to each other, how different pigments kind of fight for each other. They kind of fight for attention. And yeah, making really fluid inks is a really fun process. And then also making paint that dries that you can reconstitute is really great to do as well. And something I've recently really liked doing is mixing my paints in the same cup, and as they dry, like adding different colors on top of each other. So you're kind of layering different pigments on top of each other, and that can be really fun. Also because you're not sure what you're going to get from that. So usually when I go to work with a paint that I've made, I will spray it a little bit first to kind of reconstitute it, and then go ahead and work with it. And definitely the longer you mull something, which is the process of taking a glass grinder and grinding the pigment with the paint medium. The longer you mull it, the finer the pigment gets and the more consistent your paint gets. So I really like playing with different levels of mulled paint. So I'm already seeing like some really interesting ways that the paint has settled on the paper. It might be hard to see because this ink is still wet. But yeah, I'm gonna go over different techniques that you can use, different approaches you can use, traditional watercolor approaches, and then also different approaches that you can use with handmade paints that might be a little more, what's my word? I'm trying to come up with the word to describe inconsistent. It might be a little more inconsistent, but that's what can yield such really nice, surprising results in your artwork. All right, I'm going to keep talking. Maybe I'll do a little portrait painting here while I'm talking. Let's see. What other things can I tell you about? Most of the big news I've already shared. I'm still hoping to get a large enough studio that I can use for teaching workshops, like smaller workshops to adults. Like painting and mixed media workshops. I would really like to teach again. So hopefully that's going to happen. We'll see how things go in the year, in the months ahead. There are several irons in the fire right now. So it's always interesting. It's one of the greatest and funnest things about my lifestyle. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix some of my ink with the acrylic paint because I need a red and I can't find it. And so I'm just going to use this magenta. This is water-based. It's not an alcohol ink, so I can do this. I should have thought ahead. This water is so murky. And I want like a better... do that. I usually keep distilled water in the spray bottle. This comes in handy for so much. And this is like this fun type of spray bottle. I don't know what it's called, like an ionizing thing. Hairdressers use it, but I discovered the secret from my ceramic friends, who taught me the importance of having something like that to keep your clay wet as you're working with it. All right, let's see, here's a mirror. Maybe I'll hold this here. Okay, I'm going to start with my thumb here. Well, one of the things that's so great about having a daily project like this that I've kind of put on myself here is that every day is something different. This is a really fun way to try out different approaches, to try out different materials. And I mean, I am working from a self-portrait mostly because my face is always available to me. And this has been one of the more complicated things to explain about making self-portraits, because this isn't about like vanity or like, I hope not about ego. It probably comes across as that, but I'm not it's not like I'm like, "Ooh, I'm so great and I want to make portrait of myself every day because I deserve that," which maybe I do, but it's also about just having a face here to work from, and over time to examine the changes and to examine, the effects of time on a changing body, on a changing entity. And, it's been 13 years, so of course things look different. But it's interesting because when you do something like this every day, if you've ever drawn something, if anyone's ever drawn from like a figure model or something, it's not even about like your judgment starts to go away. So as I'm doing something like this, I'm looking at my face as just like subject matter, something to draw, but I'm also releasing judgment of it because this experience, lines, curves, whatever I'm painting, it it's no longer a judgment about whether it's pretty or not. It becomes more about how do I show that in the drawing. I realized I need some white paint here. So I mean, I think that that's like a really fun thing about drawing. It's a really fun thing about figure drawing also, um, because it's not about like nudity or sensuality, anything like that. For me, when I'm drawing the figure, it's mostly about just like the fun challenge of drawing a figure. And that is something also I'd like to do more of in the future is draw more figures um, in my bring more figures into my work and try to draw more figures from life if it's possible. Okay. Yeah, for a while I was doing my portraits mostly with my watercolors, and then I was painting primarily with oil paints. So only recently I've come back to acrylics, and it's so fun. Like there really is a difference between working, with these different mediums. I think acrylics are great for learning this kind of viscosity of paint, especially if you're interested in working with oil paint. I think that acrylics are really good for getting comfortable with this, like the body of the paint. They're also great for just being quick and easy and accessible, um, and not, it takes so much time with oil paint sometimes to clean them up and do all of that. So acrylics can just be a lot more accessible that way. There's like a shine on this right now. It's been really fun teaching painting classes to these college students, um, because so many of them are really interested in making like realistic depictions of things and realistic um, interpretations. And so it kind of gets me excited about working that way again, too, because, for a long time I've worked very loosely and very impressionistically, and I still do. But working with students, it's been fun to like get get back to that level of interest. I think it's really common and normal for early painters to want to capture representation realistically. So there's usually a lot of blending involved and all of that. So that's all stuff that I had sort of abandoned for a while, but as a teacher, it's bringing me back into that, and I kind of like it. I kind of like doing some of that more like, I guess, like representational approach. What is it? More classical approach, I guess. Academic approach. I don't know what the right verbiage is with that, but let's see here. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. This is currently a live stream, but I just got on here very spontaneously because I just had like time, headspace right now. So I thought I'll just get on here. I won't make any announcements about it. The last time I made a big announcement about coming on here, my internet wasn't working right. So I want to avoid that. So maybe that's part of the reason I didn't send out a notice. But I really did just consider it like this morning. I thought, well, maybe I'll just do a quick video, give some life updates. Let's see, as far as sharing other YouTube channels, I want to give a shout out to my friend Liz, who has a really great channel called Open Coven. And I'll put a link to that in the comments below. She is from England. She recently moved back to England. She does a lot of embroidery stuff, and she also does online workshops, and she has like a fun channel where she shows a lot of the sights and sounds of England. She used to do it, showing a lot of stuff from Asheville, but of course she moved, so now it's from England. And it's been fun, like seeing some of the fun food and stuff like that she posts. I ran out of my red, so sometimes when you're painting, you just get kind of lazy about putting more paint on the palette. I also want to shout out, speaking of England, there's a really fun school that was recommended to me years and years ago called the London Drawing School. And they do really interesting online workshops and classes. And it's all pay by donation, pay what you want. And most recently, I took this great class about mushrooms and painting mushrooms using watercolor, which was interesting. But mostly I was really fascinated by the information that the teacher gave about mushrooms and the history of whatever the study of mushrooms is called. I mean, of course, I'm not going to remember any specifics here, but that was a really fun class and just chock full of really cool information about mushrooms. And so I want to recommend the London Drawing Group if you're looking for interesting art classes that are affordable. If you can't make it to the live recording, there is always a recording that you can access for a couple of weeks afterwards. So there's a glare on here, but here's where I'm at here with this is something I always like to do, like draw my face in the mirror, but then let the hair kind of come out of the mirror. because it's painting and you can do whatever you want. And that's what's fun. Susan Lichtman, who I talked about earlier, she said the thing that's great about painting is that you can convey depth with it, but you also have the surface of the painting to break up and to do interesting things with the surface. Like you, and in that way, it's different from other two-dimensional art forms. So I love thinking about that. You know, if you want to think about creating depth, but also how surface of the painting informs the viewer's experience of it. It's so different always to see paintings in real life than in an image. And unfortunately, that's mostly how we experience paintings. I know I've mentioned this many times before. Sometimes the experience of the painting is not as great when you see it in real life. And sometimes it's more amazing. And, you know, that's one of the challenges being an artist too, is like, how do you show your work in pictures? How do you present the correct representation of your work in pictures? Because things often look totally different in a picture than they do in real life. I've always found it to be a very frustrating challenge as an artist. All right, I think I'm going to be done with this portrait. I know it's hard to see it because it's kind of shiny and the paint is still sort of wet on the canvas, but here we go. And yeah, the paint, got some pink in the cheeks. It's kind of like still sort of bleeding a little bit. Maybe I'll go a little, got a lot of shadow under the nose and mouth, but maybe I'll do a little bit more in the corner of the eye. There's usually a little more, but I'm not going to go super detailed here. Okay. Well, I think I'm getting to the end of the session. I just want to say, look for my workshop online. You can type in Ursula Gullo, Arrowmont College Workshop. I also have the details on my website, which is ursulagullo.com. And feel free to share it with your friends. And maybe I'll see you then. There's my portrait. It's still dripping. Look at the cheek. The cheek is dripping. All right, this was fun. Thanks for letting me talk. It's been 48 minutes. Wozer. All right, till next time. Bye.